Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Who Are You and What's Your Story? And I'm so excited to be doing this interview because I've been trying to get Bethany on since last week, and due to the universe, it just wasn't happening. But here we are, finally. So I'm super excited to introduce Bethany Bell. So she is the owner of BHB Financial Services. And what I love about her is her intuitive, heart-centered approach to financial wellness and really supporting people to set themselves up for success with their finances, short term, but also long term, creating those goals. So, Bethany, thank you so much for being
Thank you
here.
for having me. I'm excited.
I'm so excited. I mean, we vibed right off the bat.
Yes.
We talking all things mama and so I'm always curious, particularly as a business owner myself, what led you to open up your own financial services company?
Yeah, so I was working in healthcare for a lot of years. And I did a bunch of the different behind the scenes things, including some bookkeeping related things. And it was, well, I get bored if I'm not learning.
Mm.
So it's like, okay, well, I can keep learning this part and then letting that go and learning something else and letting that go and learning something else. Or I can just go ahead and do the bookkeeping. And that way I can focus on the things that I care about. And then I can also focus on helping the people that I care about and the people who I think would really benefit.
Yeah.
So rather than somebody else saying, do this because this, it's more, I'm going to do this because I know somebody else is needs it and is going to appreciate it and it's going to make their business and their life better.
So really you just wanted to be able to utilize all the tools and the skills that you have learned instead of just kind of, learning something and forgetting it, which I think so
Yes.
often we all do, right? Myself
Yes.
included, particularly in the business world, right?
Yes.
And so it takes a level of bravery. I don't care who you are. I'm sorry, especially since I alluded to the fact that you're a mom. So what was the driving force to like take the leap into becoming your own business owner?
So I've always thought about it, always considered it. Um, I did, I did have, I was a travel agent for a while, hated it. Uh, and then so then when it came to the, like, I already had that mentality.
Yep.
So it was like, well, I can keep going through this, or I can look for something better. And with me being one of those people who I have to learn,
Yeah.
business owner just made sense because you're going to be learning. I can have that ability to pivot. I was like, I don't know, I don't know. And things started happening at the job that I was at. And I was like, this is where this is going. It's going to a place that I don't like. So I can start again, or I can really start again, but just do my own thing.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like a universe push along with just paying attention.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, right? Is I think the universe provides us with ample opportunities to kind of guide us. It's just, are we willing to listen? And a
Yes.
really good example of that is last week when we were supposed to meet. Both of us
Yes.
were bumping up against resistance. And, because we're conditioned to, oh, you got to be there, you got to be on time.
Yes.
If you have a good enough rapport, I was like, girl, I'm be here right now. And you're
Yes. I was like, okay, we're going to do this. And then we got on the call and you said, you know what? I said, that's fine.
like, so, so okay, like I hear financial services and you just see my eyes gloss over. So can you talk to me about one, how'd you get started in like being interested in numbers and finances in the first place?
So I've always been interested and I love puzzles and figuring out the puzzles. So like even when I do diagnostic reviews before I bring on a client. I do diagnostic review. And even when I'm in their stuff, I'm looking at everything and I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to fix this. I want to fix this, but I can't because, we're not there yet. But it's just part of that. If it's a mess, I need to figure out how to make it not a mess and make it make sense.
Yeah.
And I've done that with like other jobs that weren't even number related. I would come in and stuff was crazy. Like one job in particular, by the time I left, they had a whole new definition of what my role was because I was like, well, these are the things that have to happen and nobody wants to do them, but they have to happen. So I'm just going to do it. So this is the same way. It's changing, it's taking all of those things that make no sense and making them make sense.
So talk to me about making that make sense. So what is an example of like what a mess could look like? And I'm sure if you looked at my business finances, like, oh, let's keep
So,
it, I'm gonna keep that real.
so a big thing is mingling finances. So every most people know, and even the people who do know are like, I don't do it. Um, but taking instead of having your separate account for your business and your separate account for yourself, everything is together. So that would be something that we would work on to make sure that those things are separate, because if they're not, you could get in trouble by the IRS if something gets audited. There's no longer that separation. So it's important not just because it looks good, but just for your own comfortability and legal stuff, it just makes sense. Um, so that's a big one. And then another one is people will look at their bank account and they're like, okay, well, I have this much in my bank account, so I'm good. Well, maybe. So with what I do, I give the financial statements that show that yes, you are good, or no, you aren't good, and this is where your money is going. And is that really how much you want to spend on that? And all of those things that people are like, I need to know this, but they don't want to. Hi.
So you essentially kind of help people also look at what they're putting their money into and maybe make, smarter, more informed decisions
Yes.
around how they're spending their money. Is that's around their business, right?
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
So, okay, so what would it look like? And I'm just curious because, like, really, you would die. I'm okay with it because, like, um, what would it look like for somebody if they were to be like, man, I know I need support. How does it look like to work with somebody who is, does bookkeeping and supports people in this way?
So the first thing that we would do is we would get on a call. I reserve 45 minutes just so that we can have talk about whatever we need to talk about. It usually doesn't take that long. Um, and then I do a diagnostic review. So I actually look at their books and I say, all right, this is what I see wrong. This is what I see right. This is what I see you need help with. And this is what I think that I can help with. Um, Once they become a client, in the beginning, it's really a lot of stuff they have to give me just to make sure that everything is in there the right way. But after that, it's really, really easy for them. They just make sure that they send whatever receipts. There's an email address they can just send it to, so they don't have to really do anything extra there. Um, and they hear from me once a month. If I have questions, they'll hear from me more often, but everything is in their little portal. So they don't have to worry about, oh, I have to look for this. I have to just go to the portal. And I try to make it just easy for them. So every month they get the statements that say this is what this is. If they don't understand what it is or they want to talk more about it, that's included. They have a 60-minute call once a month that they can get on the call with me and we can go over whatever they want. My goal is to make sure that they know what is going on because
Yeah.
they need to understand. They don't have to do it, but they need to understand what's going on so that they can make those decisions.
Yeah. So where's the holistic health and wellness piece come in? Because that's, what I really loved when we talked originally and since subsequently, because we've had a couple conversations, is the lens of like your heart. Like you definitely have the best interest of the business and the owner. But what is that? How does that translate into the work that you do?
So when I chose to focus on holistic healthcare, the reason that I did it was because that's how I approach life myself. And if I'm going to do this because I want to help people that I care about, who better to help than I, the people who have the same mindset as me and the people who I already care about what they do.
Yeah.
So even when I have conversations with people and we're not sure, we're not sure if we're going to work together or not, it's still that same thing of if we weren't working together, would I feel like I would want you to succeed?
Mm.
Yes, I do. Cool. Let's move forward.
So, okay. So holistic health and wellness for yourself, right? So I'm gonna go personal because here's the thing. I do this interview series because I really believe that our story is our superpower and that people want to be able to relate to you on a personal level when they do business. That's why I'm gonna be honest and no diss on all you people, but pipelines and funnels, they just don't feel genuine to me. And so
Yeah.
everybody's like, "Oh, you gotta build a funnel." I'm like, I'm not randomly dropping in somebody's inbox talking about, oh hey, I work on
Yes.
it. And so if you struggling with that, you know where to find no. So
That's so funny that you mentioned that because that's what I do. Like when I do randomly contact people, I will only randomly contact people that I actually feel like, you know what, I like what you do. I love what you're saying. Need to speak to you.
to have a good conversation, like, I my thing is I'm all about building trust. You don't know me from Adam. So
Hmm.
you really want to send me grandma who's struggling with taking, pills when you're like, oh yeah, I've seen this but that can't hear me. Come on. Um, so you mentioned that you kind of approach life from a holistic wellness place. And just before we were recording, we were talking about you being a mom. So how has kind of like what is that approach for you personally, and how's that impacted the way you show up both as a business owner but also a mom?
Um, Phrase it a different way.
Yeah, absolutely. So what is holistic health and wellness mean to you personally first?
Okay. So for me, that means looking at healing anything from a place of how can this be naturally fixed?
Okay, awesome. I love that.
If it can't be naturally fixed, that's fine. Take the next step because both sides of health and wellness need to be considered. But my first thing is how can we fix this naturally, whether it's a change in perception, change in thought, change in what you're putting in your mouth, like whatever it is, how can we try to fix that first before looking elsewhere?
Yeah. Well, I love that approach. And I'm just curious, how did you like have you always kind of had the lens of looking at things from that perspective? Like, what can I do? Because I think about health and wellness from a holistic places, really, how can I take action rather than seek external, sources to
Yeah,
handle an internal issue, really.
yeah,
So how
yeah.
did you get to that place?
As far back as I can remember, it was just there.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. But it also takes a lot of initiative, wouldn't
Yeah.
you say? Like, because once you're aware of just say an issue, right? For me, it was drinking, but for you, it was you were unfulfilled in the
Yeah.
job you were doing. You can be aware of it, but if you're not willing to take action, then all you
Hmm.
It's just it's an awareness that you kind of sit with.
Yeah. I think so. I think what I think for me it was um seeing things growing up and just picking different things of, yeah, that's cool. No, that's not cool. Don't want to do that. How can I do that differently?
Yeah.
Um, and it was just like that. The things that I liked, we went with, and the things that I didn't, I went in the opposite direction.
So really, if you think about it, you've always kind of solved puzzles in your own way because you've really been observant and you've kind
Yeah,
of what works and what doesn't and how that,
yeah. I was always that kid in the background that didn't say anything and just listened. And it's funny how I got to that was I realized, I don't know how old I was, but I realized that if you kept your mouth shut, other people forgot that you were in the room. Like the adults forgot that you were in the room and they would just start talking. So then I was like, oh, okay. So it just evolved from there.
But you know what? It's so funny you say that because my uncle Mark was just visiting and he shared so many stories that most people wouldn't know. And he said to me the exact same thing. He's like, I was quiet and they just assumed I didn't know any better. So
Yep.
I was privy to so much information.
Yep.
So he has just a depth of insight that I don't think a lot of people would have just from being that person
Yes.
urban. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, just observing. You pick up on so many things.
So then share with me, like, because we were just talking, you're a mom, you have a daughter, which yay, I have two. So, to talk to me about how you influence your daughter to kind of see the world through that lens as well. Because, I do think while we are seeing a shift in the way people show up, there is still that pretty pervasive narrative of kind of expecting things like just looking for the easiest way to handle it and then
Yeah,
expecting, it to just be better.
yeah, yeah. Sometimes it's a struggle because she's 13 now.
14-year old.
But the basis is there. And it's just been, in like making sure that I'm just who I am. And that she sees that. And I didn't realize that like the impact that it was having on her until one day. So I'm a pretty positive person. And I tried to thank you. I tried to instill that in her. And I realized that it stuck one day when she would get in trouble when she was in school. And when she would get in trouble, she would get sent to her coach and she'd have to stay in her coach's room. And one year, her new classroom was going to be on the same side of the school that her coach's classroom was in. And, you know, as a mom, I'm thinking, okay, so you know what that means, that you need to stop being in trouble. She said that what that meant is that now she could just go right down the hall. Okay. So her take on that was the positive thing is I don't have to go all the way across the school. I can just go down there. I'm like, okay, the positivity is there.
But I love that. I so I'm curious, now I've trained my brain to be very positive, but that was not always the case. And in fact, based on my experience in my upbringing, you know, I was very much creating suffering in my world, right? Because I'm looking for the suffering, so you create it.
Yes.
How did you cut like did you always grow up in an environment that like fostered that positivity? How did you come to be this person who kind of looks at everything from a place of the glass is half full?
Um, I could not tell you. It was not my upbringing. I know that one thing that I think that I've seen a lot is like doing research and, self-work and all of that stuff. a lot of times, a common theme is, well, I was raised to follow this path and we're supposed to do this and blah, blah, blah. And I think back and I'm like, but I wasn't raised that way. Like everything that I wanted to attempt to do, I was able to attempt to do it. Some things didn't work out because I didn't have the money, but
Yeah.
I still made that attempt. So to me, that was still a win because it wasn't, I still tried. Um, and I think that was the difference was I didn't have a set path that was expected of me. It was more, what do you like to do? What do you want to do? What do you want to try to do? Okay, do that. So when it comes to my daughter, I try to do the same thing with her. Like she doesn't have a limit. She knows that she has to do something.
Yeah.
Um, I don't care what it is. Has to be something, has to be positive, has to be something that you like. And she runs with that. She's like, okay, well, I'm gonna try this. Okay, cool. Well, I'm gonna try this. Okay, fine. So I think that is something that makes a huge difference is having that freedom to know that you really like how when you're little, you're told you can do whatever you want. Keeping that same thing of, you know what, I really can accomplish whatever I want to accomplish. It might work out the way that I want it to, it might not, but I can at least try.
You know, that's really profound, Bethany, and I love that you said that particularly to me because I'm sharing what with my community. So often we get seeped in this anxiety, this depression, or struggle with some form of addiction, and we have this narrative going in around in our head that I can't,
Hmm.
I can't do that. But the truth of the matter is, you absolutely can try anything you want, and the trying is the important part. If you fail,
Yeah,
it's fine. At least you put
yeah.
yourself out there. One of my favorite quotes of all time is by he escapes me now, but it's a man in the arena. It's showing up and doing the thing, even if you fail and you're
Hmm.
bloody. The fact that you did it makes you um brave, and it makes you empowered to then trust
Hmm.
in yourself to be able to get up and do the next hard thing that you think you want to do. So that's really
Yeah.
an incredible way to view life, and I love that for your daughter. I operate from a very similar lens, and I just because I didn't have that lens, watching my kids take it and run is so
Yes.
interesting to be able to be like, "Whoa, that's
Yes.
cool they did that,"
You
or,
just
"Oh."
reminded me something that I was told growing up. One of the many things that I was told was when I would say that I couldn't do anything, couldn't do something, I was told that Mr. Can't died. And so did his wife because I was also a smart butt.
This yeah, it's so funny. I think about people who I've listened to who have been really successful and talking about whoever it was, because I really believe we just need one person. It doesn't have
Hmm.
to be a family, it doesn't have to be related to you, but if you have one person who's going to challenge the way in which you think and
Yes.
hold you accountable to how you talk to yourself, like across the board, words like can't, shouldn't, couldn't, all of those were obsolete in
Yes.
that person's experience. And I think that's what helped them grow and expand and stay positive, regardless
Yes.
of what they faced. So going back to what you do, so that way, first off, what is like an ideal client for you? What are you looking for when working with a person?
So, what I'm looking for is for them to care about their business succeeding.
Mm,
Um, some people, they want their business to grow and they just want, here, do this, and they go on their way. That would not work with me. You want your business to grow, you want your business to succeed. That's great. I need you to get me what I need you to get me,
yep.
and I will work with you on reaching the goals that you want to achieve. It's not a thing of I'm going to do everything and your stuff is just going to magically grow. Um, don't need to do the bookkeeping. Don't need to understand what everything means. You just want, you just need to have that desire to succeed, to have your business grow and see it grow and be a part of the growth.
Yeah, it's a partnership.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I love that. And so I guess what tips would you want to share with either new business owners or business owners who may be struggling to keep it together, that might help them move forward so that they can experience success financially in their business?
Yeah, so it's funny you mentioned that. So I did start a newsletter that has different tips that get sent out so that if it's somebody who is like, you know what, I need this, but I'm not there yet. Because I don't like pushy people, so I don't like to be pushy. Every business needs a bookkeeper. Um, I'm not going to beat you over the head to hire me. So I did start a newsletter and I send out different tips on different things. One of the big things would be to actually have some type of accounting system set up, um, whether it be Wave. I love spreadsheets. I don't love spreadsheets for bookkeeping, but you have something,
Yeah,
something that you can look at and put in some type of formulas if you need to figure things out.
yeah,
Another tip is, like I said, making sure that those bank accounts are separate, that you're not using your personal money for your business. I know in the beginning you do, but there is a way to make it to put it on the books so that it is right.
yeah.
Um, and then not using your business money for your personal things. Um, let's see, another one, I want to give three. Um, Another one is to try to think what's the best one. Keeping track of how much you're making versus the clients that you're seeing. So making sure that what your cost is for your clients is actually valuing the time that you're putting into your clients.
Yeah,
Um,
I would say that's a really good tip, particularly for me, like as a coach, my job really involves me checking in with some of my clients daily.
mhm.
Even though those touch points aren't as extensive as like our hour meeting or a half hour, whatever, it's making sure that I track that so I know what what I am being paid
Yeah.
for. Some in the beginning, I definitely did not.
Yes, yes. And that's something that it is something that changes over time. But if you're not tracking your stuff,
Yep.
it's going to be harder to track. It's going to be harder to know, okay, I am valuing my time the right way or no, I'm not.
Yeah.
And a lot of things too, like with holistic, it's all health or heart centered. So you kind of want to just be like, oh, but I want to help you. It's okay. I'll do this. But you have to remember that your time is valuable too, and your work is valuable too. So yeah, I think those are like three big things.
That's such a good one. Yeah, I literally I found myself just taking client calls all the
Yeah.
time, and I'm like, "Oh my God, like, I'm not getting paid,
Yeah.
and I'm responsible for, like, 3 people, not just 1, and I'm
Yeah.
giving a lot of time away." So, yeah, that's a great tip. So, I will, for anybody who's interested in reaching out and getting to know Bethany and seeing how she could potentially support you, I'll have her information. But I always like to leave with a ending question, and mine for you is what's one thing you know now that you didn't know a year ago that's going to help you grow and expand either in business or as a person in 2024?
So it was something that I learned. It was said to me, it was said to me a couple of times by a couple different people actually.
Not
But
all people that.
it's kind of like the Nike just do it type of thing.
Yep.
So as a business owner, you have different ideas of different things, and you want, you want to implement all these ideas, and you want them to be perfect once they're implemented. And what ends up happening is it never happens
Analysis
because it's
paralysis.
not right. So my thing would be just do it.
Yeah.
Just get it out there, put it out there, whatever it is. It's not going to be perfect. You're going to continue to tweak it,
Yeah.
but tweaking something that's out there is a lot easier than tweaking something that's written on the paper or written in your mind.
That is such beautiful advice. I'll tell you, I read a long time ago, and I had it written up on my mirror for quite many years, is the time to act on an idea is now.
Yes.
And that's the thing is, even in these interviews, I don't edit them. They're raw. Sometimes I kill it, sometimes I don't, but I put it out there because it's the doing, much
Yes.
like staying positive, it's the doing and then recognizing what you could have done differently afterwards that's going to help you grow and expand. So I love that.
Yes. Yes.
Uh, well, thank you so much, Bethany, for your time. This is a gift as I get all choked up. No, I really appreciate you sharing some of your your personal story along with your business, because I really think that that is how we connect on a meaningful level, which then helps us build that trust that we need to hire somebody who's going to be, especially working with our money. Like, that's not very nice.
Yes.
So anyway, thank you
Yes.
so much. I really appreciate your time. And for anybody who wants more information about Bethany, I will have her information in the subtitles, and we will talk soon.
Thank you.
And now I have to